Having sex for the first time can feel like one of the biggest decisions you might make. Just how do you know when to do it and what should you expect? Unfortunately, there are a lot of myths and more than just the odd little white lie going around. So, Sexperience is here to help set the record straight and clear up the common concerns about sex and losing your virginity. So, one of the most often asked questions among Sexperience users about first-time sex has been when to do it. The legal age you are allowed to have sex in the UK is 16. There can be a lot of pressure to have sex when you're younger, whether it's your first time or not, and usually it's because of one simple thing. Everyone thinks everyone else is doing it, and chances are that's not true. Actually, only around a quarter of young people admit to having sex before the legal age of consent. But anyway, you should never feel like you should have sex because everyone else is, or because your partner wants you to, or even because it is legal. And it's always best to avoid making that decision if you're not sober. Alcohol and drugs have a nasty side effect of making you think that you're comfortable with situations you wouldn't normally be when sober. So there you go. Unfortunately, there is no simple answer for when to do it. Everyone feels ready for sex at different times, and only you can decide when that is. So if you do decide to have sex, will it hurt? For some people, sex can be a little uncomfortable first time round. Some girls may bleed a little, usually if something called the hymen is broken. The hymen is a thin layer of skin covering the opening of the vagina, but often it isn't visible. But just because a girl doesn't bleed during sex doesn't mean she wasn't a virgin. The hymen can be torn in lots of ways, especially through sport and using tampons. So, will sex be painful? Well, it's different for everyone, to be honest, but ask any doctor and they're likely to say it'll be a lot more comfortable if you're having sex at the right time with the right person. If you are worried about excessive or ongoing bleeding or discomfort during sex, then do arrange to see your GP or sexual health specialist. Now, one of the most important things to think about before you have sex is contraception. When I was at school, there were a lot of myths about how to avoid getting pregnant, and they still seem to be out there. So it's time we sorted fact from fiction. Yes! A girl can become pregnant the first time she or her partner has sex. How many times you've done it and who with just doesn't come into it. Not using contraception does. Yes! Before a boy ejaculates, a small amount of clear fluid is often released from the penis. This is called pre-ejaculatory fluid, or pre-cum, and although it's not semen, it can contain sperm. Yes! A woman with a regular menstrual cycle is most fertile in the middle of her cycle when she's released an egg. But a girl's cycle can change and eggs can be released at odd times. And sperm can survive for around 5 days inside a woman. These two things mean you should never take risks. Yes! There are other ways that sperm could get into the entrance of the vagina, like fingering or masturbating each other, so there is still a chance of getting pregnant if you don't have intercourse. No, wearing 2 condoms at the same time or double bagging doesn't give any extra protection. In fact, it does quite the opposite. 2 condoms will rub against each other during sex and be more likely to tear or slip off, so best avoided. The truth is that sex can throw up lots of feelings, emotions and potential consequences, so it's really important to think carefully about when, how and who you want to have sex with before you do it. And you know what? That doesn't change no matter how old you are. If you're worried about any aspect of having sex for the first time, then you can always ask your GP or sexual health specialist, who will be able to give you advice on any concerns you might have.
www.24-health.com